Is Model 3 production just about to double? Well, let's not jump to any conclusions, but it sure looks that way. So let's talk about it and a few other news that are happening in the world of electric cars right now.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, electric!
If this is your first time here, by the way, please join our community by clicking the subscribe button so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, let's talk about Model 3 production. As you know, in Q1 report, we all saw that they have made 2,000 of those the last week of March, and a lot of people are, speculating that, well, they've done it before. They created 1,000 of them at the end of the Q4, and then it kind of, fell about to 600 or 700 per week and stayed there for a while. And that's something that is fair, obviously. And this Twitter account that kind of tracks the VINs that are being registered is reporting this week that this week they've registered almost 5,000 of those. Of course, tracking VIN numbers is just not enough to kind of predict what the production is going to be, but if we just do some calculations here, it does look pretty good. So they've reported by the end of last year that there were 1,000 of Model 3s made, then it went down to 600 or 700, and in that time Tesla has been registering about 600 or 700 of them per month. So, and now they're reporting 2,000 of these being made. In the last few weeks they've been registering 1,500 to 2,000 of these. So just based on that, it looks like it's pretty consistent, and it does look like they're about 3 to 4 weeks ahead, which does make sense. So if we assume exactly the same as what's been happening before, though things should be better now, the production should fall to, let's say, 1,400 to 1,500 a week. And that's what we saw a few weeks ago. So if they're registering now almost 5,000 now, then in another month, we might just expect even 4,000 would be amazing. Now, there are a couple things to consider. One is obviously the production ramp up, the S-curve that they're talking about is something that they are kind of following. So we should have, relatively high expectations. And also that Grohmann engineering line that we kind of heard about, a few weeks back, but I never really heard any news that it's been installed and working. So maybe that's what's happening, and that's why they believe they can ramp it up and almost double the production. Of course, that would be absolutely amazing news. And even now, like I said, I was kind of surprised that we're able to put a 2 in front of the that last week's production rate. So if this keeps up, we are on a good track. And I gotta tell you, now I know I'm in a bubble here in Silicon Valley. I already mentioned it many times, but until things start happening in the bubble, it's definitely not going to start happening in the rest of the world. And I've been seeing Model 3s almost every day. Maybe once a week I see 2 of them in a row. My friends who were waiting for this car for a while, at least half of them already driving them. So it is definitely happening. And don't forget, the rate is now going to be exceeding the Model 3s that they're making, exceeding the rate of Model S and Model X cars that are making combined. So by the end of the year, if this is going to be ramping up like this, we might just be seeing just as many Model 3s, at least here around in San Francisco Bay Area, as we see Model S and Model X cars in some areas. So, some cautiously optimistic, exciting news. So, let's see what happens in a few weeks, but this is definitely something to be very hopeful about. Let's talk about Tesla stock. Before that, of course, a reminder that Evanex is our sponsor, and if you're looking to shop for their aftermarket Tesla accessories, there's a discount code in the description of this video that they've created specifically for our community. I'm actually going to get something myself, and I'm going to show it to you guys once I have it. Just basically, I wanted to get like a roadside emergency bag that kind of has everything just in case I realize I don't have it. So I'm going to get it from them and check it out for you guys. All right, rarely talk about stock, but lately it has been in conversation, and it is important to talk about it because, if they have to borrow some money or if they have to repay their loans or whatever, the stock price does matter, and of course it's part of the news and all of that stuff. And look, it's rebounding, not all the way up there yet, right? We were kind of $350 about, what, couple months ago or so, and even higher than that. But it fell from what, 350 to 250, and now it's back up to about 300 as we're talking right now. It's afternoon here on Thursday in Silicon Valley. So looking pretty good. That's 20% gain in just 1 week from a 52 week low. Just saying, this is you know, we'll have to wait and see to where this is gonna go by the end of the week. But it's I mean, despite all of this news, right? Despite the tariff wars and EPA stuff, it's all kind of going against the current right now. So I applaud that. By the way, if you're enjoying this video on this channel, please give this video a thumbs up. Just click it right below this video over there. That will help me out a lot. So thank you for that. All right, here's a piece of bit weird news. Okay, so this company, Singolata Motors, which actually sounds like a delicious ice cream. Singolata. Would you like a scoop of Singolata? Don't mind if I do. But anyway, I have never heard of them. I don't know if you have. Let me know in the comment section. But apparently it's a Chinese company that unveiled this SUV. Actually, originally it had kind of Falcon doors, and now it's got a suicide doors. They've unveiled that in 2016. And now they're reporting that they got a round of financing of about 2.4 billion American dollars, which is insane. This is one of the largest investments, if not the largest investment I've seen in an electric car company. And they are moving forward with production, the factories and everything. The car should go about 250 miles or so, 0 to 16 about 4 seconds, and actually pretty aggressive pricing, about $33,000 to about $50,000 American dollars. If you convert that, obviously they're going to be making it for Chinese market. Now here's the weird part. This is why I'm not jumping up and down, is because, you know, this company's been around for a while, and I had a really tough time finding their website, finding their YouTube channel, a Twitter account, and so forth. Actually, I wasn't able to at all. This is not even a picture. This is a still from one of the videos that I saw on some other channel that reported about this car. So, and this is one of the later versions. Good looking SUV, by the way, you know, no doubt about it. But it just always weirds me out when a company is making cars and is getting so much money now in this investment injection, and yet they didn't bother with a website. You know, it's a little baffling, but nevertheless, it looks like it's happening. A few media outlets are reporting on this. But again, I'm going to root for them, of course, because hey, a new electric car in the market, always welcome. I want to thank some of my Patreons, actually all of my Patreons. Some of you are watching. This is how you help my show to move forward, and you're gonna help me finance and travel and buy equipment for it. So I really appreciate it. Now I know I haven't been doing live videos for about a week now. I'm actually gonna go back to doing live, and it will be limited to just Patreons. That's just something I want to do for them, so they get to see the live shows, and then after that, immediately I will repost here on YouTube, so you guys can, you know, it's going to be exactly the same thing. As you know, I've been doing these videos in the same format every day, a news and Saturday interview, and on Sunday we're going to have a sort of a hangout. So that's how the format is going to go. So if you haven't chance yet, in the description of this video there's a link. So I would really appreciate if you guys join and become a part of sort of the supporting the support for this community in this channel. Really appreciate it. All right, now we talked about the EPA yesterday, right? And you know, they basically said they're going to roll back all of the Obama era EPA regulations and restrictions, and basically what can be what gas cars, how they need to improve, and you know, they haven't really told us how they're going to roll it back, but they are rolling it back. That's what they said. Of course, I think now a dozen of states are now announced, including California, of course, that they're going to sue them and try to prevent them either from rolling it back, or also EPA is trying to take the rights of those states to regulate their own car sales and restrictions and limitations on what type of, you know, emissions they can allow. In California right now, as I believe, is one of the strictest states for that. So we're trying to protect our environment, but the EPA said that, well, we don't want you guys to do this anymore. So I'm assuming part of the lawsuit is going to address that, so California can continue enforcing their own rules that are much stricter than general rules here in the United States. So as I mentioned yesterday, this may not even be worth the fight, because by the time this administration might be gone at the end of their term, the new administration will be really easily reverse that. Plus, it does take a while for stuff to take effect, and we're talking about 2025 year of 2025 goals anyway. So again, could be a moot point. By the way, I'm really excited about this coming Saturday. I'm going to have Robert Bollinger, the CEO of Bollinger Motors. If you're not familiar with them, they are a brand new electric company that's making off-road electric SUVs. 200-mile range as well. Pretty cool looking. Check them out, but I'm really excited to have them on. They are based in New York, so I didn't get to see them. But I mean, they didn't come to CES, so and this is my first interaction with them. Very excited. But more exciting interviews that I'm going to have. Rich Rebuilds are going to be the week after this. Then the Cali trip with my Tesla adventure. TeslaTakeover.com if you want to join us here in California, and then Zach and Jesse at the end of April, and I'm working on a lot of other really exciting guests that are going to be coming onto the show. So I'm just so thrilled to have all of those guys and have those conversations. I hope you are as well. All right, let's move on to the comment of the day. I got a couple. One is about Renault Zoe. As you know, I reported yesterday about their they've kind of restructured and added to their lease of their batteries, and I'm really pro battery leasing. I think that's a really good idea, but I've gotten quite a few comments about this for those of you guys who live in the UK or Europe and you're not as excited. And this is one of the comments, comes from Dad, I think that's how you pronounce it, but he said, "Hi Alex, the Zoe has been available with leased battery or purchased with car since it launched here in the UK. The issue with leasing the battery has been that the owners of the car have found it almost impossible to sell used outside the Renault dealership. Other dealers don't want to pay the lease while they have it on sale, and finding a buyer yourself who is willing to pay for the car and sign a better lease to release you from your commitment," and so forth and so forth, and therefore the resale value falls. And you know, interesting. I haven't really thought about it, because you're right. I guess if you sell it back to the dealership and they kind of have it on their lot for 2 or 3 months, they have to pay for the battery lease. So the battery lease is about $60 to $80 US a month, so it's not really that much, but I understand. And I guess I didn't realize that it's difficult to get, you know, because I guess you have to make a sale of the car and then a sale of the lease program, right? So I kind of understand. It's a very interesting perspective, so I really appreciate you guys kind of updating me on that. I still think that if they structure it correctly, you know, where people can get out of the lease, or it's easier for somebody to take over, or maybe it's kind of built in into payments, and something I probably need to think a little bit more. But the benefits of the battery lease is obviously that you can update and downgrade as the new batteries become available, or your needs for driving change. So I thought being flexible for that is really good. And also, of course, you don't have to invest as much into the car. That's kind of a separate deal for you. And of course, you don't have to worry about battery degradation, because it's not your battery. You can always give it back, or they will replace it, because they are supposed to take care of it, not you as the owner. But point taken. Very good. Thank you so much for kind of educating me on that, what's happening, because I don't always know what's happening, you know, across the pond. All right, so here's another one, and this one is, you know, I've been getting a lot of comments, so I just wanted to address another thing that, you know, this one is about autopilot, and sometimes I feel like you guys watch my show, but some of you just don't really listen, or maybe I'm not making myself clear, and it could be my fault. So, you know, we've been talking about this autopilot thing for a while. I believe it's an incorrect term, and you know, Mike here, he you know points out that you know autopilot comes from, you know, the aviation industry, and even there it is you know, it takes over some of the automated functions, but the pilot is still supposed to be in control and pay attention, which is exactly what kind of Tesla offers. And you know, and this is the part, and granted, I agree with you, and you know, technically it is almost exactly the same term, but what I'm trying to say is that it's really not about the reality, it's about the perception. The perception and what this word means. By the way, if you ask most people about what the autopilot for the plane is, I guarantee you them, the majority will say, yeah, that's where the plane kind of flies itself and the pilot can take a nap. Now, I know it's not true. Same thing with Tesla, it's not true. I get it. But it's about the perception. So even if 1 out of 10 people who drive a Tesla perceive it as like, hey, I have an autopilot, so it's just going to do everything for me, especially on a highway where it's relatively easily, well, that's a problem, you know, and you know, obviously one of those guys just died, unfortunately, because he might have thought that. So, and changing the name of the autopilot to something like driver assistant or whatever is really probably wouldn't even be that big of a deal. But if it can change the misconception, but again, perception is reality, I think it might, you know, save some lives, so avoid some accidents, and be very clear about what the feature has to offer. I don't see anything wrong with it. As a matter of fact, I really encourage Tesla to do that. So, guys, please hear me out the entire point, not just half of it, and make a comment that kind of has been already addressed. And the only reason I'm addressing it now is because quite a few of you mentioned this. So I just wanted to clear that up. Feel free to comment again, by the way. All right, well, that's it for me for now. Another exciting day of news. Definitely excited about Model 3. I'm going to be back here once again, posting videos every day. So I will see you tomorrow. And of course, remember to stay charged.